The First World War ended in 1918, leaving a world forever changed. The war had caused unprecedented destruction and loss of life, and the global community was eager to rebuild and move forward. Germany was blamed for the war, and the consequences were severe. The nation was left in ruins, both physically and economically, struggling to recover from the devastation. The Treaty of Versailles punished Germany severely, imposing harsh reparations and territorial losses. This treaty was intended to ensure peace, but instead sowed the seeds of resentment and anger. Germans felt humiliated and angry. The economic hardships and national humiliation created fertile ground for radical ideologies to take root. In the 1930s, totalitarian leaders rose to power. These leaders promised to restore their nations to former glory and exploited the people's discontent. Hitler in Germany, Mussolini in Italy, and Emperor Hirohito in Japan sought to expand their empires. They believed that military strength and territorial expansion were the keys to national revival. They built up their militaries and made aggressive moves. These actions were not just for show, they were clear signals of their expansionist ambitions. The League of Nations, created to prevent another war, was powerless to stop them. Despite its noble intentions, the League lacked the authority and military power to enforce its resolutions. The world watched with growing fear as tensions escalated throughout the 1930s. The aggressive policies of these totalitarian regimes made another conflict seem inevitable. The stage was set for another global conflict, more devastating than the last. The world braced itself for the storm that was about to come, a storm that would change the course of history once again. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. This marked the beginning of a brutal conflict that would engulf the entire world. The German forces, using their advanced military tactics and machinery, swiftly moved through Polish towns, leaving destruction in their wake. This act of aggression triggered World War II. The world watched in horror as the conflict escalated, with nations quickly taking sides. France and Great Britain declared war on Germany, standing up against the tyranny that threatened to consume Europe. The Nazi Blitzkrieg, a lightning war of tanks and planes, quickly overran much of Europe. The speed and ferocity of the German advance caught many nations unprepared. In June 1940, France fell to the Nazis. The once mighty nation was now under German occupation, a sobering reminder of the war's relentless progression. Only Great Britain, led by Winston Churchill, remained defiant. Churchill's leadership and the indomitable spirit of the British people became a beacon of hope in these dark times. The Battle of Britain raged in the skies over England. This was a critical moment, as the Royal Air Force fought to protect their homeland from the German Luftwaffe. The Royal Air Force fought bravely against the German Luftwaffe. Their courage and skill were instrumental in preventing a German invasion. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. This devastating assault brought the war to American shores, shattering the illusion of safety. The United States was thrust into the war, joining the Allies against the Axis powers. This marked a turning point as American military might and resources began to shift the balance in favor of the Allies. The Battle of Stalingrad, which began in late 1942, was a turning point in the war. The Soviet Union, under Joseph Stalin, fought desperately against the German invaders. The battle raged for months in the ruined city. It was one of the bloodiest battles in history. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces landed on the beaches of Normandy, France. This massive invasion, known as D-Day, opened up a second front in Europe. It marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. Section 4. The Shadow of the Holocaust. While the war raged, Nazi Germany carried out the systematic murder of millions of Jews, Roma, LGBTQ+ individuals and others deemed undesirable. This genocide, known as the Holocaust, was a horrific crime against humanity. The Nazis established concentration camps and death camps across Europe. Victims were subjected to forced labor, torture, and mass murder. The full horror of the Holocaust was revealed as the war ended. It left an indelible scar on the world's conscience. Section 5. A world reforged legacy of the war. By 1945, the Axis powers were defeated. The world rejoiced as the long and brutal conflict came to an end, marking a significant turning point in history. Germany and Japan surrendered after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These events showcased the devastating power of nuclear weapons and changed the course of warfare forever. The war had ended, but at a terrible cost. Cities lay in ruins, and millions of families were displaced, facing an uncertain future. Tens of millions of people had died. The loss was felt deeply across the globe, with countless soldiers and civilians paying the ultimate price. The war reshaped the global order. Nations came together to form new alliances and organizations, aiming to prevent such a catastrophe from happening again. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers. Their influence would dominate global politics for decades to come. The United Nations was formed to prevent future conflicts. This new international body aimed to foster peace and cooperation among nations. The war also led to the Cold War, a decades-long ideological struggle between the West and the Soviet bloc. This period was marked by intense rivalry, espionage, and the constant threat of nuclear war.